Namaste, beautiful. Welcome to my absolutely breathtaking Airbnb in Kerala, India, where I have come to sweat and to allow everything that I have learned and experienced at my Kundalini teacher training to begin to integrate into my being. I don't have any kind of goal, agenda that I'm going to cover right now. I simply am going to talk and see what happens. I haven't talked very much in the past few months. I've done a lot of listening to my teachers, to other students, to people I met on the street, to my host at this Airbnb, but not very much talking. I didn't want to. I often don't want to. I think that everyone who was at this training with me was an absolutely incredible human. And most of them I didn't even talk to at all. For a lot of my life, actually, I didn't see talking to be such a necessary thing, which you might not believe because I do tend to talk a lot. At the beginning of classes, I make these videos where I just talk. But, I mean, it would be a little bit weird, or if I just sat here and stared at you, right? But because of this interaction, this relationship that we have, right, we're on the internet, then talking makes sense. I don't know if I've already talked about this here, but the second person with whom I had an intimate relationship, we didn't speak the same language. He was from Brazil, he spoke Portuguese. I obviously spoke English. And we both spoke some Spanish. We met when I was a junior in high school. So I'd been taking Spanish. I was still taking Spanish in school. He knew some, right? So we spoke a little bit in Spanish. But other than that, we didn't really talk that much. And since I started traveling a few years ago, then I again have had, very important relationships with people that don't speak the same language as I do. And I don't know why I'm talking about that, to be honest. Maybe because even, at these teacher trainings, the ones I've been to in India, and even, actually, I think in all of the so I've done 4 teacher trainings. I think in all of them that I've done, I've only had one teacher who English was their first language. So, you're learning from someone who is speaking their second or third or who knows, right, language, but not their mother tongue. I don't know if you can hear this dog, but this is the first that it's barked like this since I got here. Maybe because I'm talking. it's a different kind of communication, right? Even with the animals, there's just so many different ways to communicate. And I think that so many people from around the world get so attached to their language, to communicating in words, that they don't stop to think how imperfect it is, right? We even talked a couple of times about, in the US we call it telephone, but apparently there's another word for it called Chinese whisper or something like that, with that game that you play where you say something and then you go around in a circle and then you observe the difference between what the first person said and what the last person hears, right? So, this is happening in our everyday life, right? When we talk to people, this is happening in every single religion, right? It's pretty one that's talked about a lot, right? That the Bible, for example, was first from mouth, and then it was written, and then it's been translated, and so now what we read, who knows how it compares to the original, right? And with the Vedas, I mean, the thing about the Vedas, which, if you don't know what they are, so these ancient texts that from India, where the thing about them is that a normal person can't understand them, even years ago. And so then they were made to make more sense into the Upanishads. And even those are difficult for a lot of people to understand. And so then we have people who are learning these things, and they are teaching these things. And so they're teaching based on their understanding, right? And then the next person is teaching based on their understanding, or sometimes they're teaching based on the understanding of the person who imparted the words to them without bringing their own understanding to it. And so, like I said, this is my 4th yoga teacher training that I've just completed. And I've heard a lot of people speak very certainly about many things that contradict people from other trainings and even people from within the same training. For example, sun salutation. I can't even tell you how many different versions of sun salutation I have learned at this point. And most of them, when they teach it such that this is the way to do it. Oh, maybe you've been taught another way, but this is the way. And that's just an example. This goes for a lot of things that we learn at these trainings. And so, with the asana practice, the entire asana practice as well. Oh, you should do this first. Oh, no, you should do this first. No. Until the head starts spinning and how do I know how to teach? How do I know how to practice? How do I... And so I'm realizing as I'm talking, what the point is. And the point is to know, to hold in your mind as you learn anything from anyone, right? As you listen to anything, that this concept, right? It's a combination of what they've learned with what they've experienced. It's a combination of what they've learned and what everyone who has come before and passed that down, their experiences, right? And so at this most recent teacher training, then all of the teachers have learned both from gurus, and then some of them as well, have gone to get their master's and their PhD, but the majority of what they teach is what has been passed down from their gurus. And it's the same thing, right? And so, this is something that I learned even from my first training. It took me a while to start teaching because so much of what I was taught contradicted it from, one teacher to the other, but also contradicted my intuition. Until finally I realized that I'm my number one teacher, right? And everything I learned, everything I've been taught, every single word that I have heard has been important. And I have to allow it to integrate. I have to allow it to assimilate. And then I can practice. And then I can teach. A couple years ago, I can't remember if I've already told you about this, but a couple of years ago, I met someone who accused me of wanting to be a practitioner and not a teacher. Because it was a year after I'd completed 3 teacher trainings and I wasn't teaching yet. I said, I'm just continuing my own practice. I'm learning from myself. Because I've been learning from myself for a lot longer than I've been learning from anyone else. And so he said, oh, so you want to practice, you don't want to teach. No, I want to teach and be so confident in what I am teaching that I'm not confusing my students. So sometimes I take breaks. And in those breaks, I'm either learning from myself or I'm learning also from other teachers, because I'm always learning from myself. Because I never take a break from my practice. Ever. And that's why. I'll be honest, that was not even close to what I thought I was going to talk about. Right now, I thought I was going to tell you about the training. But I think that this is really important to keep in mind. I want every single person who practices with me, who learns from me, to remember that, yes, I put my heart and soul into everything that I teach you. And at best, I am your second teacher. You are your first teacher. even if you haven't found your teacher within, it's there. I can't even tell you exactly how to find it, to be honest. I wish I could tell you some formula to find your teacher within. But I think that the best thing that I can tell you is to know that it's there, to believe with every single part of your being that you know your body best, you know your mind best, and that there is something there inside of you that's guiding you. And from there you can find it. And hopefully from taking my classes, from paying attention to how things feel, to how you're thinking as you're taking the classes, you can become more deeply connected to your teacher within. Because, to be honest, one of the things that I learned most at this training is that not everybody is so connected to their teacher within, even teachers. And I maybe shouldn't say this, but I'm saying it towards the end, so maybe not that many people are listening anymore. There was one class in which the teacher was reviewing teaching method. And of course, it was different than a teaching method that sequencing, what I mean when I say teaching method, sequencing of an asana practice. And of course, it was different than a different teacher had said. And I could see people, getting anxious about this. People started asking questions, and the teacher was, well, not exactly addressing the questions as they were being asked. And so finally I said, the same thing happened to me when I did my first teacher training, and then the second. And so I have found that the best way for me to write classes is to do it in my body. And of course the teacher shut that right down. Said, yes, over time you can learn how to do this. But how do you learn how to do that if you don't start practicing? But yeah, seeing that wasn't as common as I expected for it to be amongst the other teachers, because this was a 300-hour training, right? Really helped me to know that this thing that I have developed over time is not as common as I assume it to be. And I by no means want to be saying that, this is better or anything like that. I just, because I spend so much time alone, sometimes I don't realize how much I really do have to share, because I make assumptions that everybody knows the things that I know. Everybody experiences the things that I experience. And sometimes I need reminders that that's not true. And so this is me committing to continuing to teach you things that I have assumed you already knew. And if there's anything that you would like for me to teach you, please let me know. Because I'm trying my best to be able to read minds through the screen, but I can't always do it. So please let me know anything you can possibly think of that you might want to learn, that I might be able to teach you. And I will try my best, and I will let you know if I don't know the answer. Okay. I think that's all I have to say for now. Actually, I have a million other things to say, but they're off topic, so we'll keep it to this topic, I guess, for now, and I will be back with you again. So, oh, as far as continued asana classes go, I am at this Airbnb until April 10th. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to teach as far as asana classes here, but I will try and do some maybe shorter things, maybe some individual asanas, maybe some pranayama, things like that. Maybe a full class, I don't really know. It's extremely hot. And by the time I finish my practice in the morning, I can't do that much as far as teaching in the afternoon here. But my next location, I will be in Goa, where it will also be very hot, but I purposely booked somewhere where I will have inside space so I can keep it a bit cooler so I can make more classes. All right. Enough talking. I'm going to now go and be silent and get myself some food, and I will connect with you again soon. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for trusting me and for allowing me to guide you with so much love. Namaste.